Hello, this is Brian Hayden again. Um, I thought we would talk about the dark this time, and especially since we're getting towards the end of the Celtic year, which is the end of October, beginning of November. We celebrate it as Halloween. But prehistorically, what did hunters and gatherers used to do in the dark? There was limited number of possibilities, especially if you're going into dark places like caves. Um, Out in the open, you can use fires for lighting, and that's fine. You can't do that, or you can't carry the fires with you into caves. And prehistorically, in the Upper Paleolithic, we know that people went up to a kilometer inside some of these caves. And this could be very dangerous if you didn't have proper lighting. You could never tell when you're going to stumble across a stalagmite or whether you're going to fall down a crevasse, or if you don't have any light, if you get disoriented and can't find your way out, it could be very tragic and very difficult. So lighting is critical for going into dark places. And there are basically only two options in the Paleolithic. One of them is to use what's known as a grease lamp, very similar to Roman lamps, and I happen to have a replica of a Roman lamp here. But basically this was filled with oil and it had a little mesh on it. The Romans covered over the top, but in the Paleolithic they just had basically a bowl made out of stone and a little mesh. So they didn't have any covering on the top. But it's basically the same kind of thing. This is just a reproduction. But these Roman lamps were everywhere. We get some of these stone lamps archaeologically found in caves in particular. And so we know that they use them, but we don't have very many of them. And so we think people were also using another source of light, and that is what I've referred to in my book on, my adventure story of the Upper Paleolithic. I call them pitch sticks or torches. And so pitch sticks are basically just pieces of wood that are very rich in resin. They've been soaked in resin. And sometimes these occur naturally. If you get a tree fall, the top of the tree has fallen over, and then sometimes there are resinous sticks that remain standing, and those can be collected and used as pitch sticks. But if those are not available, there's another way of acquiring these pitch sticks, and that is you can cut into a tree, like a pine, especially resinous trees like fir trees or evergreen trees, especially pine trees. You can cut into them and through the bark, and so that the bark leaks sap over the wood and impregnates the wood. And then you can cut out the wood that's been soaked in sap and let it dry, and that creates a pitch stick. This is a pitch stick that I got in Guatemala when I was there, and they're sold commonly for lighting in Mayan homes, thatched roof homes, but people use them all over the place, like candles or like flashlights, like we use flashlights. So, and there's, I actually had to use some of these in one ethnographic study I was doing. We went into this very remote village, Mayan village, high in the mountains, with no access and no electricity. And so we were using pitch sticks. But in the middle of the night, our guide became afraid that they were going to come and kill us during the night, because they might have thought that we were guerrilleros or there to rape and rob people. Those kinds of rumors fly instantaneously as soon as you appear in some of the more remote villages. And so he was very afraid that we were going to be killed that night. And so he got us to leave in the middle of the night. And the only lighting that we had to come down the mountain were these pitch sticks. So yeah, I've developed a fondness of them ever since. At any rate, so after you've got these pitch sticks, it's good to have 2 or 3 of them together. And basically, they just, you hold them in a flame for a few minutes. And there we go. Yep, there we go. Here we go. And we can light a couple more here. And in no time at all, we have a, we've got a flashlight. And that illuminates things very, very well. I won't let it go on for too long. It gets, don't want it to get out of hand. At any rate, and these were, I think, the main thing that were used to go into caves when people went far into caves. And in fact, on the walls of the caves, we find these little marks of charcoal where they were brushed up against the side of the wall in order to knock off the burned charcoal and revive the light, the flames on the end of the pitch sticks. And so these are called torch swipes in the caves. And some people don't think that that's what they were, but I'm pretty convinced that that's what they were. And so in the adventure story that I wrote, The Eyes of the Leopard, these feature prominently in their adventures, their entry into the caves. And it's one of the main features, and comes out of some of my own personal experience dealing with pitch sticks. So there you have it. I hope you can find some of these someday and play around with them. Okay, have a good Celtic New Year, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.